Hi, Marie here from Pottery Crafters. In the last video, I tried 5 different glaze combinations. In this video, I'm going to try 5 more. Follow along and see how I glazed them and how they turned out. All the supplies used in this video are listed for you below in the show notes. First, I'll go over a few steps before glazing to help you improve the odds of your glazes turning out. Before you start glazing, it's always best to make sure your hands are clean and dry. Or wear gloves. Wipe the bisqueware with a clean damp sponge to get any ceramic dust off that may interfere with the glaze. Mix the glaze well. This Hamilton blender works really well. I'm applying film resist. They both work well. With wax resist, if you make a mistake, the glaze won't melt into the pot. Film resist is water-based, but you do have to remove it from the pottery before you fire it. I do all of this because it does make the glazing process easier. Let's start glazing. For this first large bowl, I'm using Amaco Arctic Blue, Amaco Blue Rutile, and Mayco Sea Salt. I'll start with Amaco Arctic Blue, using a fan brush to apply the glaze. Apply the first coat to the bottom of the bowl. The glaze helps with insulation. Then apply the Amaco Arctic Blue to the bottom half of the bowl, because I want the other glazes to move down into the Arctic Blue. Let it dry, and apply a second coat to the outside. I'm using the Arctic Blue on the bottom half as the base because I want the softer color underneath. Let it dry. Apply a coat to the bottom half of the inside of the bowl. I'm doing the same thing on the inside, keeping it on the bottom half so the glazes can meet and blend. Let it dry. Apply a second coat on the inside, bottom half only. Letting it dry between coats helps the next coat go on better. If the glaze is still too wet, the brush can pull the glaze back off. Let it dry. Apply a third coat to the inside of the bowl. Bottom half only. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Amaco Blue Rutile. First coat on the top half of the outside of the bowl. The Amaco Blue Rutile is one of those glazes I really like, but I also respect it because it loves to move. Let it dry. Applying a coat to the top half of the inside of the bowl. There should be a contrasting color as the Amaco Blue Rutile moves down the bowl. I'm keeping it on the top half because I want it to run into the Amaco Arctic Blue. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the top half of the outside of the bowl. A little bit of blue rutile can go a long way. Let it dry. Apply the second coat to the top half of the inside of the bowl. I'm not applying as much blue rutile to the top half of the bowl because I know how much the blue rutile loves to run. Let it dry. To finish this glaze combination, I'm adding Mayco Sea Salt. Apply the first coat to the inside. This is a matte glaze that has crystals. Crystal glazes can be a little surprising. Sometimes the crystals melt and spread, and sometimes they stay more in one spot. This feels like it could be a soft blue combination with good movement. Let it dry. Then a coat on the outside. I wonder if this glaze will turn out glossy or have more of a matte finish. Let it dry. Apply another coat to the outside. Let it dry, and apply one more coat to the inside of the bowl. Since I'm putting it over glazes that can move, I'm curious to see how that changes in the firing. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist. Fire to cone 6 and see how it turned out. I love how the colors melted together. This is how I like to see it flow. I love how the glaze cascades down the bowl. Now the glaze turned out glossy, but not really glossy, but more glossy than matte. It looks like the crystals didn't melt. The crystals look like salt crystals. I guess that's where it gets its name. I think this is a beautiful combination. I love how soft the colors are. This combination gives it that pretty flowing look I was hoping for. Yes, I will try this glaze combination again. Let's check out the next combination. For this candle holder, I'm using Amaco Bright Yellow and Amaco Cosmic Tea Dust. I'll start with the Amaco Bright Yellow. Apply the first coat to the outside of the candle holder. This one is a little different because the candle holder has these circles and stars, and I really want those details to show. Let it dry. Apply a second coat. This yellow glaze has good coverage, so I'll only need 2 coats. Let it dry. Apply only 1 coat to the inside. I don't need much coverage on the inside. Before the glaze dries too much, I'm using a dot tool to get any clumps out of the holes and stars. It's important to do it at the right time. If you do it too soon or wait too long, the glaze is harder to remove. This part does take a little patience, but it really helps to keep the design stay open. Let it dry completely. The next glaze I'm using is Amaco Cosmic Tea Dust. Apply 1 coat to the inside of the candle holder. I'm trying not to get the Amaco Cosmic Tea Dust in the holes or the stars. I still want the yellow to show through those little openings. I don't need much glaze on the inside and the outside of the candle holder. This Cosmic Tea Dust is a thin glaze, but looks nice and sparkly after firing. Let it dry. Because the glaze is so thin, I'm applying another coat to the outside. I don't want to cover up the whole piece too heavily. I want the glaze to add to the design, but not hide it. And another coat only on the top part of the candle holder on the inside. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist. Fire to cone 6 and see how it turned out. This candle holder turned out really nice. The yellow underneath made the Cosmic Tea Dust sparkle more. I like how the yellow makes the circles and stars show, creating a nice accent. I'm glad I kept the glaze lighter around the openings because the details still show. The yellow gives it a nice little pop, and the Cosmic Tea Dust adds that sparkle on the top. Great glazes for candle holders. Let's check out the next glaze combination. For this next bowl, I'm using Mayco Sea Salt, Amaco Textured Turquoise, and Amaco Sapphire Float. This time I'll start with the Mayco Sea Salt. Apply the first coat to the outside of the bowl. I'm applying the sea salt first because I want to see how the glaze will do underneath other glazes. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the outside. With the Mayco Sea Salt on the bottom, I'm hoping to have more color and texture. Let it dry. Apply a coat to the inside of the bowl. I'm using the number 4 Mayco brush. My favorite brushes are the Amagic brushes. I always go back to those, but I'm really liking this small Mayco brush. This little brush gives me nice control over the glaze. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the inside. I wonder how the glaze crystals will react on this bowl. I'm curious to see if the glazes stay more on the surface or if they melt into other glazes. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Amaco Textured Turquoise. Apply a coat to the middle of the inside of the bowl. I want it more in the middle to see how the other glazes interact with it. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Amaco Sapphire Float. Apply the glaze to the top part on the inside, right above the textured turquoise. Amaco Sapphire Float produces a beautiful deep blue color and some nice breaking when it moves. And the top part of the outside of the bowl, nice and thick. Let it dry. Then a band of sapphire float right underneath the textured turquoise. Let it dry. And finish up with one more coat of the textured turquoise on the inside, but not the top part of the bowl. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist, fire to cone 6, and see how it turned out. Very cool. The glaze moved nicely and gave some good breaking and layering with bursts of color. It's a fun combination. On the outside of the bowl, the Mayco Sea Salt has a nice matte finish. The crystals didn't melt at all, and they do look like salt crystals. This is good to know if you want to use the Mayco Sea Salt by itself. Now it looks like it melted a little more on the inside. I like the contrast on this one, and it feels a little more bold and playful. You can hit the like button anytime during this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video comes out. Now the sapphire float around the rim of the bowl looks like I applied the textured turquoise. That's an interesting color effect. This is a cool combination. I will definitely try this one again. Let's check out the next glaze combination. For this next bowl, I'm going to try something different. I'm using Amaco Pear, Amaco Textured Turquoise, and Mayco Sea Salt. I'll start with Amaco Textured Turquoise and Amaco Pear. Poured 1/4 cup of Amaco Pear and 1/4 cup of Amaco Textured Turquoise in a bowl, but did not mix it. Place the fan brush in the glazes and swirl the glazes around the bowl with the fan brush, on the outside only. I'm leaving the glazes separate because I want the brush to pick up both of the colors. I'm hoping it gives the outside a swirl look instead of one flat color. It's always fun to try new things. Looking forward to see how it turns out. The Celadon is more stable than the textured turquoise. I think these two might work well together. Then mix up the glazes and apply one coat to the inside of the bowl. This one is more of an experiment, and I always like to try something new with glazes. Let it dry. To finish this glaze combination, I'm adding Mayco Sea Salt. Apply a coat to the outside of the bowl only. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. The sea salt should soften the look and add a little crystal specks. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the outside of the bowl. I'm keeping the sea salt on the outside because that's where I want the texture and the lighter look to show. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist. fire to cone 6, and see how it turned out. I love the colors. A spring green, white, and specks of sand color. I like the salt crystals. The glazes did flow a little. I should have applied at least one more coat to the inside. I think this is a pretty uplifting glaze combination. It has that fresh spring green look to it. I really like the soft green and white together. And the little specks do give it a nice natural feel. I think I'm going to try this combination again. Let's check out the next glaze combination. For this small dipping bowl, I'm using Amaco Obsidian and Mayco Green Jasper. I'll start with the Amaco Obsidian. Apply the first coat to the outside. This should be a darker, richer combination. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the outside. The Obsidian is a popular glaze to use as a base. It looks dark, but can brighten up other glazes a lot after firing. Let it dry. Apply a coat on the inside. The Obsidian is not a true black because it contains cobalt. Fun fact. Let it dry. Apply a second coat to the inside. The Obsidian is a great base to help other glazes pop. Let it dry. The next glaze I'm using is Mayco Green Jasper. Apply one coat on the inside. The green jasper should flow pretty good. This nice thick coat should give me more movement. And one coat on the outside, only halfway down. I'm keeping the glaze higher on the outside so it has room to run without running off the bowl. Let it dry. Now remove the film resist. Fire to cone 6, and see how it turned out. It really did turn out beautiful. The glaze movement is stunning. I love the way the green runs down the bowl, mingling with the other colors running down together. The obsidian and the white gives the bowl a beautiful contrast. I'm glad I didn't glaze further down. The glaze almost ran off the bowl, but it did not. I love this combination. It has such of a beautiful flow to it. I love how the green jasper moved over the obsidian. The lighter areas really help break up the darker colors. The Mayco green jasper does love to move, which is always good to know, especially the first time you use it. I will definitely try this glaze combination again. I'm glad I could give you some more glazing ideas. Remember, you can always make adjustments if you want more glaze or less glaze. The first bowl came out great with beautiful colors flowing down the bowl. And for the sea salt having a matte finish, it turned out pretty glossy with the other glazes. I love this combination. I'll definitely be doing this one again. The candle holder combination turned out really good too. The cosmic tea dust made the candle holder really sparkly, and the yellow glaze gave it a nice accent. This is a nice combination. And this bowl made some beautiful movement on the inside, and hardly any on the outside. And that's good to know on how much you want to layer your glaze and how you want it to turn out. And the combination that I did with this bowl was very interesting. I was surprised at how green and springy it turned out. I thought it might be a little darker with the texture turquoise. Still a really cool combination. And last but not least, my little dipping bowl. It turned out beautiful. I love the obsidian and the green jasper together. I'll definitely be doing this combination again. Now, what is my favorite? I really love this large bowl, and the candle holder too. I really love the effect that this green bowl created. And this bowl is really cool too. The obsidian and green jasper is my favorite, but I will be doing these other glazes again. Which combination or combinations are your favorite? Let me know in the comments section below. You watching helps me to make more videos, like this one. Now head on over to my 21 tips for brush glazing and my 21 essential tips for underglazing. If you do, I get to play with more clay. Let's stay dirty